Alright, so now we're going to drop a hole. Now, do not do this. We're going to drop a hole, and look at my arm, it's floating out midair. Bad thing, bad, no. We want to have our hands steady. We want to have it either touching the side of the wheel or set it on my knee. And we set it on the top, and we sort of let it sit there, and we let it find the center. Now, this piece is still wobbling a little, but you just set it on the center, and we sort of feel the top, and it's going to find the center. So then you just push down a little bit. It gets dry, add a little water. You're going to push down a little bit more until you can fit both your thumbs in there. And then we're just going to drop both our thumbs down in. And I sort of just push them down in there. You need a little bit of water, not much. See how much water there is? Do not do this. Your clay is going to soak up all that water and become very soft. You're not going to have good walls. The walls will fall down when they get thin. So don't ever let water sit in the bottom. And I'll probably repeat that a few other times. Again, I push both my thumbs down into the center. And now I push my thumbs towards the wall and drag them out. Now we just made the heart. So we're going to do this a few more times. You don't want to go all the way down to the metal head of the wheel, because then you'll just have a donut. You won't have an actual clay. But you also don't want to leave the bottom too thick, because if you have too thick, might have an air bubble in there, and if it's too thick, it will explode. So we're going to try and go with the perfect medium between not too thick, not too thin. Now the next basic process of centering out and making your hole is to use like 2 fingers or 3 fingers, and you stick them down here on the wall, and you bring them up. Also, another thing, do not ever touch your clay while it's stopped. The whole trick is to get even wall thicknesses. See, this wall is as thick as that wall. If the clay were not centered when I dropped the hole, we would see a thick wall and a thin wall, and that's really hard to work with and get tall. Another thing is, if you're throwing your clay and you're applying pressure, and say you just stop it while you're applying pressure, well, your pressure is going to stop right there, and you're going to have a thin spot right there. And then you also have a thin wall and a thick wall, which will mess you up. If you have a bubble in your clay and you feel the bubble and the bubble pops, you'll also have a thin spot and a thick spot. These are all things that mess up the symmetry. They mess up your ability to raise the clay and have perfect symmetrical walls. So, always while the clay is moving, you apply pressure and remove pressure. Here's one way trick I got to get clay or water go on the inside of the wall, is you apply the sponge right here. And you can just put a little bit of water on the tips of your fingers and it goes down both sides. So I do that. And then I apply 2 fingers down in here. I'm going to press them into the middle and towards the inside while just completely cupping the outside. Apply the pressure and pulling it up. And slowly removing pressure as I get to the top. And I'm going to do this a couple more times. And then we're going to have, I'm starting in the center, getting the bottom just a little bit smaller. And applying the pressure and slowly dragging it up. And slowly removing pressure as I get to the top. So this process, and sometimes if you get too much water in there, don't do that, but just get it back out. Just make sure it's on the outside. Here's cupping. If it ever loses its center, you'll still be able to cup it and sort of drag your hands up to the top and make it a smaller diameter and slowly remove pressure at the top. So we can do that again. Always going full speed here. So this is essentially your cylinder that you can do any number of things from. You can take the walls out and make a big bowl. We can shape it taller and skinnier and make a vase and sort of put some curves in it. Or we can just sort of cup it up and cover up the rim and make it into a mug. So from right here you can do anything, but I'll show you the next step in the next clip.